Usually we interview high-level ICPs, smart ones. They know what we're doing and they dream that their team would do that as well. So as long as you do it nicely, in a non-pushy way, they will think about it. In this video, I want to walk through how to find your first guest for your niche B2B podcast aimed at solving branding and lead gen for your business for good. My name is Guillaume Joumancel. I'm the co-founder of GHA Marketing. We've launched and grown 107 B2B podcasts. We have 2 leading podcasts in 2 different niches as well, corporate treasury and consulting. And this is exactly how we go about finding the first guest for a new show, even if it doesn't exist yet. This video, by the way, is part of a series of videos to complement a book called B2B Podcasting Secrets, where we break down our entire playbook on how we solve branding and lead gen for good for B2B businesses, lessons learned from 107 B2B podcast launch, and how we walk the talk ourselves for more than 4 years now. If interested, the link is in the description. It is completely for free, so we'll send it your way, and it has all the written and visual information as well. Let's get into it. So, how to find your first guest. This visual is one of the most texty of them all in the playbook, but let's go through them one by one. So, multiple people, especially when we get into the conversation of potentially helping them with a podcast, they're like, I'm not sure my ICP, who are usually like high-level decision makers, C-suite executive, people who are usually hard to reach, I'm not sure they would want to come on my podcast. I'm not sure they listen to podcasts, and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, we are yet to find an industry where we cannot find an ICP to come on a show, even if the show is not launched yet. At the condition of doing everything properly. So it starts with the positioning and crystal clarity on the ICP. Send you back to the previous video if you haven't seen it. Once you have that, here is how we make it work every single time like clockwork. The first thing to do is you need to start with your existing network. So we need to create a little bit of social proof that will allow us to go to cold ICPs to be like, hey, would you like to come and talk on my show? And for that, we start with the existing network. So if you are a confirmed high-ticket B2B business owner or marketer, you probably already have clients. You probably have past clients, you probably have had leads over the last 6 to 12 months, and you're in touch with other industry leaders. This is exactly who we are going to start with. So there is a specific playbook, and it's all highlighted in the ebook on how to reach out to existing clients, past clients, dormant leads, and industry leaders to come on the show, even it doesn't exist yet. Why does this work? If you do it properly, what happens is that those people already know you, trust you, and consider you as an authority. So when you reach out saying, hey, I'm going to launch a podcast tailored for name of the industry, and I'm only going to interview people like you, aiming at making this big, and I would love to have you as one of the first guests. By the way, usually when, podcasts go for a long time, the first episodes are always the ones that people go back to when they discover the show. So years from now, you will still get downloads, and I will also do my most best to, take care of the episode, market it, launch it, because it will be important for me as well. Would you like to come as a guest on the show? This works every single time. And the best news is, you don't need like lots of guests. You just need 2, 3 just to ramp up and then be able to say, hey, I've interviewed those 3 people who are like you on the show, and now I'd like to interview you. So start with your existing network, reach out to them with the copy that is proposed in the playbook, and you will get your first guests. The best part of this is we usually get the first wins through this process, because you can reactivate leads without the sales pressure. So as I said, you probably have leads over the last 6 to 12 months who didn't move forward, right? Who had like one specific objection, or for some reasons it wasn't the right time, and you haven't reactivated them since. Potentially you have nurtured them or not. The whole point here is, hey, Mr. Prospect, I'm launching a podcast that's only going to feature leaders like you in our industry. I thought back about our conversation last time, and I thought you'd be an amazing guest. Would you like to come? Invite your old prospects. You get them to be a guest on the show, not into a sales call. You can reactivate the conversation throughout the multiple touch points. So we typically break down the podcast process with a pre-interview, an interview, and an off-air debrief. This happens all the time. And then you have like all those occasions and opportunities to say, hey, by the way, last time we didn't go through because of XYZ, like where are you at right now? And you can actually reactivate all leads, build a relationship that you potentially didn't build before because it was a purely sales conversation. And this is typically how we get the first wins. So existing clients, past clients, industry leaders that you know, and Dormant leads. An amazing way to start a podcast, get the first relevant guests, and actually the first wins through it. The good part of those first leads is that we are also going to activate the referral loop. What do I mean by that? Especially for the existing clients, for the past clients, for the industry leaders, there is probably not a sales conversation to be had here, except if you have an upsell or a downsell that you want to discuss with those clients as well, in which case the priority should be on that, because we want quick wins with the podcast at the beginning, typically to show that the model works. If not, here is what you do. You ask for referral. So after each and every recording, you ask for a guest referral. You close the loop, you say, hey, how was that for you? You get the feedback on the content, and then you say exactly this. And I highlight the whole script in the playbook. So, hey, John, this was awesome. If I could interview people like you all day, I would. Who else do you know who'd be an as awesome guest as you? And you let them speak. Now, note a few things. First of all, we are complimenting them whilst we are doing this, right? Usually we interview high-level ICPs, smart ones. They know what we are doing, and they dream that their team would do that as well. So as long as you do it nicely, in a non-pushy way, they will think about it. Why is that? Because you're not asking, do you know anybody else? Which is a yes-no question, which most of the time people will just discount and say, no, I don't know anybody else. When you say, who else do you know? You make them think. You force them to have a couple of seconds of reflection to be like, do I know anybody? 1 in 2 guests will not give you any names or any referrals, and that's fine. 1 in 2 will be though, oh yeah, sure, actually I know so-and-so who could be a great fit. You don't stop here. Here is what you do. You say, amazing, would you mind doing a 3-way introduction with me via email or text? If they say yes, you're like, cool, I can even send you the text. It's, hey, I've just been on so-and-so's show. We talked about XYZ. He asked me for guests. I thought you'd be a great one. I'll let you take it from there. You propose to send them the very text, so you remove all friction of making that referral. And if they say yes, you don't stop here. You also say, cool, anybody else comes to mind? And this is how you can get 2, 3, 4 guest referral from the very guest that you just interviewed. Now, here is the best part. Let's say you target CFOs. CFOs know other CFOs. So when you ask for referrals and you do it properly, now you get a warm introduction, not to get into a sales call, to be a guest on a podcast that is going to become a leading show in the industry. You're the one providing the value first. You're the one providing the audience, providing the spotlight, and you're the one providing that value. So the positive reply rate is much, much higher, and then you can start a potential sales conversation. We provide the whole process in the playbook and also in a future video. So from this very process, not only do you build a stronger relationship with your guest, you also get warm introductions of ICPs that you don't know. And this is also how you can get your first wins with the podcast. Once you have all this, you can use those 2, 3, 4 names that you've recorded an episode with to literally 20x the reply rate on your cold outreach. So we have a whole section on this in the next video. But like once you have 3, 4 recognizable names or job titles, you build social proof. This is how you can actually then reach out to cold ICPs with as much as 3, 4 episodes. We've done that for 107 B2B podcasts like clockwork, and it works every single time. You literally go from less than 1% reply rate to 15% plus positive reply rate. Those are our stats across all our campaign. You can just saying like, hey, look, I like what you're doing with XYZ. I'm reaching out because I'd like to invite you on name of the podcast, which is going to talk about specifically topics in your industry only with people like you. By the way, we've already had as guest someone like you number 1, someone like you number 2, someone like you number 3. And now because you have that social proof, you're making them feel a bit of FOMO. And that's how you get a 15% positive reply rate. How to structure that invitation to clients and non-clients. So first off, you lead with your mission. We have a whole section on this in the playbook, but it's like quick personalization, why you're reaching out, why it's the perfect fit for them, and what's in it for them as well, especially for the first guest. So like, we're going to do a super strong communication effort for the launch. You're going to get assets as well, like you're going to be able to share, and you're going to be seen by your peers as an expert, and you're going to be able to showcase your expertise. That's usually like as much as it takes. Also, don't get straight into the interview, especially at the beginning. You want to start with a zero pressure 20 minutes chat. Don't put any link in there for now. Just say, hey, if you're keen, let's schedule a 20 minutes brief chat to go over what the interview could look like and potentially arrange an interview date if that works for you. 15%+ positive reply rate. This is how you can get your first guest, and this is how we make it like clockwork. See you on the next video.